The child's hand slipped into mine before I could stop her, small fingers wrapping around my calloused palm with absolute trust. The entire throne room fell silent. 200 Valorian nobles stood frozen mid-whisper, their silver eyes fixed on the unprecedented sight of a human servant being claimed by the Empire's youngest princess. Kira. High Consort Valanda's voice cut through the silence like breaking glass. Release the human immediately. The girl, 4 years old by human reckoning, barely passed her first molting by theirs, only tightened her grip. Her luminescent skin, the pale blue of winter moons, flickered with the stubborn defiance only children possess. I should have pulled away. Protocol demanded it. Survival demanded it. A human environmental consultant had no business touching royalty, let alone being touched by one. But something in those wide silver eyes, something desperate and searching, kept my hand exactly where it was. "It's all right," I said softly, kneeling to her level despite the gasps rippling through the assembly. "I'm not going anywhere. You smell like the gardens," Kira whispered, her voice carrying in the acoustically perfect chamber. "Like soil and growing things. Father smelled like cold metal." The mention of the late emperor sent a visible ripple through the court. Grand Duke Torvian, his scales a darker blue than his niece's, stepped forward with barely contained fury. "This is an outrage. The human forgets his place." The human, Empress Solara, finally spoke, descending from her obsidian throne, did nothing but stand still while my daughter chose to hold his hand. I looked up at her then, truly looked, and felt the weight of what I was seeing. The Empress of the Valorian Dominion was tall, nearly 7 feet, with features that human artists would have called impossibly elegant. But it wasn't her beauty that struck me. It was the exhaustion, the kind that settles into bones and refuses to leave, the kind I recognized from my own reflection in the months after the accident. "Your Radiance," I said, "I apologize for any don't." The word was soft, but absolute. "You're the first person she's touched voluntarily in 6 months, since her father's assassination." The court erupted in murmurs. Such private information, spoken publicly, about the reclusive young princess who had stopped speaking for 3 months after watching her father die. Kira tugged at my hand, pulling me closer. Her silver eyes, so like her mother's but unclouded by politics and pain, studied my face with unnerving intensity. "You have sad eyes, too," she said. "Who did you lose?" The question hit like a physical blow. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I registered that I should deflect, should remember my station, should do anything except answer honestly in front of 200 hostile nobles. "My daughter," I heard myself say. "She was about your age. What was her name?" "Lily." Kira nodded solemnly, as if this exchange had confirmed something important. Then she turned to her mother, her small face set with determination that seemed far too old for her years. "I want him to stay. He understands." "Kira, you cannot simply," the alien girl asked me. "Will you be my new dad?" Kira's voice rang clear and high through the chamber. Her mother froze. The Empress went absolutely still. The silver luminescence of her skin flickered once, twice, then steadied into something unreadable. "What did you say?" "It's what the old stories call it," Kira said, her grip on my hand tightening. "When someone broken finds someone else who's broken, and they choose to fix each other. Teacher Marth told me about it before Father sent her away." "That's not," Grand Duke Torvian started. "That's exactly what it is," Kira interrupted, showing the steel that would one day make her formidable. "I'm asking him, not the court, not the council, him." Every eye turned to me. A human consultant brought in to help terraform agricultural zones. A man whose entire life had collapsed 18 months ago, when a drunk driver took everything that mattered. "Your Highness," I said carefully, "I'm honored, but you're scared." Kira's observation was matter of fact. "That's okay. Mother is scared too. She just hides it better. The Empress's sharp intake of breath was audible. Perhaps, Solara said slowly, each word measured. We should continue this conversation somewhere more private. Marcus Chen, isn't it? The environmental specialist from Earth? Yes, your Radiance. You will join us for evening meal. Alone. Grand Duke Torvian stepped forward. Your Radiance, protocol demands. Protocol, Solara cut him off, her voice carrying centuries of authority, also demands that we listen when a child of the Imperial line speaks a claiming phrase, even inadvertently. Or have you forgotten the laws you're so fond of citing, Uncle? The Grand Duke's scales flushed darker, but he retreated. I rose slowly, Kira's hand still clasped in mine. The little princess looked up at me with something I hadn't seen in a child's eyes since Lily. Hope. You'll come? She asked. I should have said no. Every rational thought screamed that this was dangerous, that I was being pulled into currents far beyond my depth, that attachment only led to loss. But Lily had taught me something in her short 5 years. She'd taught me that sometimes the bravest thing isn't protecting yourself from pain. It's opening yourself to it again. I'll come, I said. The Empress watched our exchange with an expression I couldn't read. But just before she turned away, I caught something in her silver eyes that looked almost like desperate hope. The private dining chamber was smaller than I expected, intimate even. A round table of dark wood sat beneath a crystalline dome that revealed the swirling nebula of Valorian Prime's night sky. 2 chairs had been set initially, but Kira had insisted on a third being placed between them. She's never done this, Solara said quietly, as servants arranged the final settings. Kira, I mean. She's always been reserved, even before. She stopped, the sentence too heavy to finish. Grief changes children, I said. It changed me, and I was 34. The Empress studied me with that unsettling Valorian focus, eyes that seemed to see through skin and bone to whatever lay beneath. The Council has already begun drafting formal protests. A human at a private imperial meal. My uncle is calling it an insult to Torin's memory. Emperor Torin, my husband. The word carried no warmth. Our marriage was arranged when I was barely older than Kira is now. Political necessity. He was not unkind, but we were partners in duty. Nothing more. I wasn't sure why she was telling me this. Wasn't sure why I was still here at all. But before I could respond, the door slid open and Kira bounded in, her silver hair still damp from bathing. You came. She ran to me, stopping just short of collision, suddenly uncertain. I wasn't sure you would. I said I would. Adults say things they don't mean. She looked at her mother. Father said he'd be home for my naming day. He wasn't. He was delayed by the trade summit on Keth 4. Solara said softly. He didn't choose. He always chose other things. Kira's voice held no accusation, only observation. He was good at being emperor, not good at being father. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths. Solara looked away, her composed mask cracking just slightly. We should eat, she finally said. The meal itself was unlike anything I'd experienced. Valorian cuisine involved multiple courses of increasingly complex flavors, each meant to stimulate different emotional responses. Kira explained each dish with the seriousness of a scholar. This one makes you feel brave, she said, pointing at a shimmering soup. And this one makes you feel safe. Mother always orders the safe one when she's worried. Kira. A warning in Solara's tone. It's true. And you ordered 2 of them tonight. I couldn't help the small smile that tugged at my lips. The Empress caught it, and for just a moment, something softened in her expression. She has always been too observant for her own good. My daughter was the same. The words came before I could stop them. She once told her grandmother that she was lying about liking her new haircut because her left eye twitched. Kira giggled, a sound like silver bells that seemed to startle even her. She clamped her hands over her mouth, eyes wide. I laughed, she whispered. I haven't laughed since before, Solara finished, her voice thick. She looked at me with something new in her eyes, gratitude mixed with fear. How are you doing this? I'm not doing anything. You are. She rose from her chair, moving to the crystalline dome to stare out at the nebula. The physicians, the counselors, the mind healers, none of them could reach her. She screamed when they tried to touch her. Stopped speaking entirely. And you, a stranger, a human. She turned. Why does she trust you? I thought about it, really thought. And the answer, when it came, was simpler than I expected. Because I'm not trying to fix her. I'm not trying to help her process or move through stages or achieve healing milestones. I looked at Kira, who was watching me with solemn attention. I just see her. A kid who lost someone she loved and doesn't know what to do with all that sadness. You see her because you know, Kira said. You're still sad about Lily. I'll always be sad about Lily. That's okay. Being sad means I loved her. And love doesn't stop just because someone's gone. The Empress made a sound, small, involuntary. When I looked at her, I saw something I hadn't expected. Tears, luminescent on her silver skin, trailing down her perfect features. Forgive me, she said, turning away. I don't. This isn't. Mother never cries, Kira whispered. Not even at the funeral. Everyone said she was too cold, but I knew she was just holding it in, keeping it all inside so she could be strong for the Empire. I stood, uncertain what protocol dictated, and discovered I didn't care. I walked to where the Empress stood, careful to keep space between us, but close enough that she could hear me speak softly. Your radiance, Solara. Her voice was barely audible. When there are no witnesses, no councils, no politics. I'm just Solara. Solara. The name felt strange on my tongue. Too intimate for what we were. You don't have to hold it alone. Don't I? She turned to face me, and I saw the full weight of her grief for the first time. Not for a husband she'd barely loved, but for the girl she'd been before duty claimed her. For the mother she wanted to be, but didn't know how. For 6 months of watching her daughter disappear into silence and being helpless to stop it. The court sees me as a vessel, a means to produce heirs and maintain alliances. Torin saw me as a partner in governance. My uncle sees me as an obstacle to his own ambitions. She laughed, bitter and broken. Do you know what my daughter asked me 3 days after the assassination? She asked if I was sad that father was dead or just scared about what happens next. What did you tell her? Nothing. Because I didn't know the answer. She wiped at her tears, the gesture somehow more vulnerable than the tears themselves. What kind of mother doesn't know if she's grieving her husband or just her own stability? An honest one, I said. She stared at me. You're strange, Marcus Chen. You speak to me as if I'm merely a person, aren't you? I haven't been merely anything since I was 12 years old. A small hand slipped into mine. Kira had crossed the room silently, and now she reached for her mother with her other hand. Solara hesitated, just a moment, before accepting her daughter's touch. See, Kira said softly. We can all be sad together. It's less heavy that way. We stood there, the three of us, beneath a sky full of stars that humanity had only dreamed of reaching a century ago. An empress, a princess, and a broken man from a small blue planet who had somehow wandered into something he didn't understand. You should go, Solara finally said, though she didn't release her daughter's hand. If you stay longer, there will be questions, implications. My uncle is already seeking ways to undermine me. I understand. Do you? She studied me again with those silver eyes. Kira spoke a claiming phrase today. Do you know what that means in our culture? No. It means she's declared intention. A child of the imperial line may claim a guardian, someone outside the blood who holds authority over their protection and education. It hasn't been invoked in 3 centuries. And if it's invoked, the claimed guardian must be formally recognized by the council. They must live within the palace grounds. They must— She hesitated. They must be bonded to the imperial house, permanently. The weight of Kira's words suddenly became clear. This wasn't a child's whim. It was a legal declaration, even if she hadn't fully understood its implications. "I won't hold you to it," I said. "She's a child. She didn't know, but she did." Solara's voice was steady now, composed once more but warmer somehow. "Kira has been studying law since she could read. She knows exactly what she said." I looked down at the little princess, who met my gaze without flinching. "You knew?" "I knew." "Why?" "Because Mother needs someone who sees her. And so do I." She squeezed both our hands. "You don't want anything from us. Not power or status or alliances. You're just here. That's new." I should have been terrified. A month ago, I'd been cataloging soil compositions in the eastern provinces, trying to find purpose in work after loss had stripped everything else away. Now I stood in an imperial chamber, holding hands with an empress and a princess being pulled into currents that could drown me. But Kira was right about one thing. I was already broken. What was one more risk when you had nothing left to lose? "We'll figure it out," I said. "Whatever happens next, we'll figure it out together." Solara's silver skin flickered with an emotion I couldn't name. "You may regret those words, Marcus Chen. Probably. But I'll mean them anyway." The council chamber rang with outrage. 3 weeks had passed since that first dinner. 3 weeks of quiet evenings, of Kira's laughter returning, of conversations with Solara that stretched late into the night. 3 weeks that the court had watched with mounting fury. "This is unprecedented." Grand Duke Torvian's voice echoed off the vaulted ceiling. "A human, a common laborer, cannot be recognized as imperial guardian. The law disagrees." High Arbiter Melon's reedy voice carried the weight of centuries. The claiming phrase was spoken correctly, in the presence of witnesses, by a child of imperial blood. The statutes are clear. The statutes were written before humans even knew fire, and yet they remain binding. Melon adjusted his ceremonial robes. "Unless you're suggesting we discard law when it becomes inconvenient, Grand Duke?" I stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by hostile faces. Solara sat on her throne, Kira beside her on a smaller seat. The Empress's expression was carefully neutral, but I'd learned to read the tension in her shoulders, the slight flicker of her luminescent skin. "The human has bewitched them." This from Duchess Corvain, her scales the deep purple of the night-blooming flowers in the palace gardens. "Some human trick. Their species is known for emotional manipulation." "Is it?" Solara's voice cut through the murmurs. "I wasn't aware humans had any notable psychic capabilities. Perhaps the Duchess has intelligence our scholars lack?" Corvain flushed darker. "Your radiance knows what I mean. I know you're accusing my daughter of being incapable of making her own decisions. That you're suggesting the Empress herself has been somehow compromised." Solara stood, her full height making her tower over even the tallest nobles. "Choose your next words carefully, Duchess." The chamber fell silent. "There is," Torvian said slowly, "an alternative. The trial of worthiness." I felt Solara stiffen, even from across the room. "That hasn't been invoked in," the Empress began. 600 years, yes. But it remains legal." Torvian's smile was cold. If the human is truly worthy of this honor, surely he won't object to proving it. "What trial?" I asked, tired of being discussed as if I wasn't present. Torvian turned to me, his silver eyes gleaming with barely concealed triumph. "A series of tests, physical, mental, and spiritual, designed to prove the worth of those who would join the imperial house, and if I fail, exile. Permanent separation from any member of the imperial family. His smile widened, and of course your presence would be erased from the princess's memory. A kindness, really. To spare her the attachment to someone unworthy. You would mind wipe a child? The words came out harsher than I intended. We would heal a child of inappropriate bonding, yes. I looked at Kira. She was watching me with absolute trust, her small hand clutching her mother's. In 3 weeks, she'd gone from silent and withdrawn to laughing, talking, even playing in the gardens. The mind healers had called it miraculous. Torvian called it a threat to his power. I'll do it. The words silenced the chamber again. Marcus. Solara's voice held warning. You don't know what you're agreeing to. The trial was designed for Valorian physiology. Humans have never. I'll do it, I repeated. If that's what it takes to stay, I'll do it. Torvian's expression flickered. Surprise, quickly masked. He hadn't expected acceptance. He'd expected to use my refusal as proof of unworthiness. Very well. His voice was silk over steel. The trial begins at dawn tomorrow. 3 tests, 3 chances to prove yourself. He leaned closer. 3 chances to die. I didn't flinch. Couldn't afford to. I'll be ready. The first test was physical. An obstacle course through the crystal caverns beneath the palace, designed to test endurance, agility, and resistance to the disorienting effects of the resonant crystals that grew there. I lasted 4 hours. Longer than anyone expected, shorter than I needed. The crystals created harmonics that disrupted human neural pathways, and by the end, I could barely walk straight. I completed the course, but collapsed at the finish. The second test was mental. A debate with 5 scholars on topics ranging from Valorian history to philosophical ethics. For 6 hours, they attacked every statement, challenged every assumption, twisted every word. I held my own, barely, drawing on memories of academic defenses and corporate negotiations. But the third test nearly destroyed me. The trial of soul requires that you face your deepest grief, High Arbiter Malon explained, leading me to a chamber deep within the palace. A psychic construct will manifest your loss. You must make peace with it. Make peace how? That varies. Some accept. Some forgive. Some simply endure. The chamber was empty except for a single chair. I sat, the lights dimmed, and then, Daddy? I stopped breathing. She stood before me. Lily. My Lily. 5 years old, wearing the yellow dress she'd worn on the day she died. Her dark hair and the pigtails her mother used to make. Her eyes, my eyes, looking up at me with confusion. Daddy, where did you go? You said you'd pick me up from school. Lily. Her name was broken glass in my throat. Baby, you didn't come. Tears welled in those perfect eyes. You promised. You always promised. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Why didn't you save me? The words hit like a physical blow. Because that was it, wasn't it? The guilt that lived in my chest like a second heart. I should have been there. Should have picked her up instead of finishing that report. Should have been in that crosswalk instead of her mother. I wanted to, I whispered. God, Lily, I wanted to. But you weren't there. You're never there. The construct's voice shifted, becoming harder, older. And now you're trying to replace me. With her. With the alien girl. No, that's not. You love her. Lily's face twisted into something cruel. You love her because she's not dead, because she can laugh and grow and be all the things I can't be anymore. I'll always love you. The question broke something inside me, because there was truth in it. In 3 weeks, I'd started to feel again, started to hope again, and part of me, a dark, shameful part, felt guilty for it, as if healing meant betraying Lily's memory. "She's not replacing you," I said, and the words were as much for myself as for the construct. "No one could ever replace you. You are my daughter. You are my daughter. That doesn't stop because you're gone." Then why? Because love isn't a finite resource. I was crying now, openly, unashamed. Loving Kira doesn't mean I love you less. It means I'm still capable of loving at all. And I think that's what you'd want. The construct flickered. Lily's face softened, becoming the real Lily again, not an accusation, but a memory. "I miss you, Daddy. I miss you too, baby. Every single day. But you're going to be okay? I'm going to try." She smiled, that brilliant, gap-toothed smile I'd give anything to see one more time, and began to fade. "Tell her I said it's okay," Lily whispered. "Tell her she can share." And then she was gone. I don't know how long I sat there, in that empty chamber, letting the tears come. Minutes, hours. It didn't matter. What mattered was that when I finally stood, something had shifted inside me. The grief was still there, would always be there, but it wasn't drowning me anymore. The door opened. Solara stood silhouetted against the light, her expression a mix of hope and fear. "Marcus, I'm okay." The words felt true for the first time in 18 months. "I'm okay." She crossed the chamber in 3 strides, and did something that shocked us both. She pulled me into an embrace. Her arms wrapped around me, her luminescent skin warm against my tear-stained face. "I watched," she admitted, her voice muffled against my shoulder. "The council has viewing rights. I watched you face your daughter's ghost, and She pulled back, silver eyes searching my face. "You humans, you feel everything so deeply. It should be a weakness, but it's not. It's the bravest thing I've ever seen. The trial? You passed. All 3 tests." A small smile tugged at her lips. "The Grand Duke is furious." I laughed, a broken, exhausted sound that somehow felt like victory. "Good. Good." From somewhere down the corridor, I heard running footsteps. Kira burst into the chamber, her small face streaked with tears of her own. "You stayed," she gasped, throwing herself at me. "You stayed, you stayed, you stayed." I caught her, held her, and felt Solara's hand rest gently on my back. We stood there, the 3 of us, in a chamber designed for breaking, and somehow found ourselves more whole than before. I'm not going anywhere." The bonding ceremony took place at sunset, when the twin moons of Valorian Prime rose over the crystal spires of the palace. It was smaller than tradition dictated, Solara had insisted. Only essential witnesses. No spectacle. "The council is calling it an insult," she told me that morning, her voice carrying the exhaustion of months of political battle. But I refused to make a performance of my daughter's happiness. "Our daughter," I corrected. "If we're doing this, I mean." She'd looked at me with something like wonder. "Our daughter, yes." Now I stood in the ceremonial garden, wearing robes of deep blue, the color of those who served the imperial house. Kira stood beside me in silver, her luminescent skin practically glowing with excitement. "You have to say the words exactly right," she whispered urgently. "If you mess up, the bond won't take, and Arbiter Malon will make that face he makes when people waste his time." "What face? Like this?" She scrunched her features into a passable imitation of elderly bureaucratic disapproval. "See?" I bit back a laugh. "I'll try not to earn the face." The music began. A haunting melody played on instruments I couldn't name, and the small assembly parted. Solara appeared at the far end of the garden, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. She wore white. Not the cold white of her official robes, but something softer, flowing, threaded through with gold that caught the dying light. Her silver hair was unbound, falling past her shoulders, and her skin pulsed with gentle luminescence. She was beautiful, but more than that, she was real. Present, alive in a way I hadn't seen from her before. "Breathe," Kira whispered. "Right, breathing. Good idea." Solara stopped before us, her silver eyes moving from her daughter to me. Something passed between us, an acknowledgement of everything that had brought us here. The loss, the grief, the unexpected hope. "We gather," High Arbiter Malon intoned, "to witness a bonding unlike any in recent memory. A guardian bond, yes. But also—" He paused, clearly uncomfortable with what came next. "A soul bond. Between houses. Between species." Murmurs rippled through the small crowd. The council had fought viciously against this addition. In Valorian tradition, a guardian bond and a soul bond were separate things. The first for duty, the second for love. Combining them was almost unheard of. Almost. "Marcus Chen of Earth," Malon continued, "you have passed the trials. You have proven your worth. Do you accept the burdens of guardianship? To protect, to guide, to place this child's welfare above your own? I do. And do you accept the burdens of soul bonding? To stand beside the Empress not as subject, but as equal? To share in her sorrows as in her joys? To remain when remaining is hard, and stay when staying is harder?" I looked at Solara. Really looked. Saw the fear she was trying to hide. The hope she couldn't quite suppress. The woman beneath the crown who had spent so long alone. "I do, then speak the words of binding." I took a breath. The ancient Valorian phrases felt strange on my human tongue, but I'd practiced for weeks, determined to get them right. "I claim this child as my own, though not of my blood. I claim this woman as my partner, though not of my world. Where they walk, I will follow. Where they stand, I will stand beside them. My life is theirs until the stars grow cold." Solara's eyes glistened. She took Kira's hand, then mine, binding the three of us together. "And I accept this claim," she said, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. "I accept this man as guardian to my daughter and partner to my soul. Where he walks, I will walk beside him. Where he stands, I will stand with him. Our lives are joined until the stars grow cold." Kira bounced impatiently. "Now me! Now me!" Malon sighed, the face Kira had warned about making a brief appearance, but nodded. The little princess straightened, suddenly serious. "I, Kira of House Valorian, accept Marcus Chen as my guardian and my—" She hesitated, glancing at me with sudden shyness. "My father. My other father. The one who came when I was sad and stayed when I was happy again." "The bonds are spoken," Malon announced. "Let none contest them. Let none separate them. What has been joined today will never be broken." The assembly finished in unison. And it was done. The reception afterward was a blur of congratulations, thinly veiled hostility from Torvian and his allies, and endless political maneuvering. But through it all, Solara's hand never left mine, and Kira never strayed far from our sides. It was near midnight when we finally escaped to the private wing. Kira had fallen asleep in my arms during the final toast, her small body heavy with exhausted contentment. "I'll take her," Solara offered. "I've got her." We walked together through moonlit corridors, the palace quiet around us. The servants had been dismissed. For once we were truly alone. Kira's room was exactly as a 4-year-old should be, toys scattered across the floor, drawings pinned to the walls, a telescope by the window that she used to watch the moons. I laid her gently on the bed, and Solara pulled the covers up. She drew you, Solara whispered, pointing to a recent addition to the wall. 3 figures holding hands. 2 tall, 1 small down. She said it's our family. Our family. The words settled into my chest, warm and aching. Solara, not yet. She took my hand, leading me out of Kira's room and into the corridor. There's something I need to show you first. She led me through passages I'd never seen, upstairs that spiraled into one of the palace's highest towers. At the top was a small chamber, open to the sky, furnished with nothing but cushions and a low table. This was mine, she said softly. Before I was Empress. Before I was anyone. Just a girl who liked to watch the stars. We sat together, shoulders almost touching, looking up at the vast canvas of the night sky. The nebula swirled in colors human eyes had never evolved to see. 2 moons hung low on the horizon, their light painting everything silver. I was so afraid, Solara admitted. When Kira spoke those words in the throne room, I knew what it meant, what it could mean, and I was terrified. Of me? Of hope? She turned to face me. I'd given up, Marcus, on connection, on being seen as anything other than a symbol. And then you appeared, this strange, sad human with kind eyes. And my daughter smiled for the first time in months. And I thought it must be a trick. Some new way the universe had devised to hurt. I know the feeling. Yes. Her hand found mine in the darkness. I think you do. We sat in silence for a while, letting the night breathe around us. When Solara spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. In the trial, when you faced your daughter's ghost, you told her that love isn't finite. That loving Kira didn't diminish what you felt for Lily. I meant it. I know. She shifted closer, her luminescent skin casting soft light between us. I've been thinking about that. About what it means to love again after loss. Whether the dead would want us to remain frozen in their memory or... She stopped. Torin and I were never in love. But I mourned him anyway. Mourned the possibility of what we might have become, given time. That's still real grief. Is it? She looked at me, vulnerability naked in her silver eyes. Sometimes I feel like a fraud. Grieving a partnership instead of a passion. Missing the Emperor more than the man. You're not a fraud. You're honest. That's braver than pretending to feel things you don't. Something shifted in her expression. She leaned closer, and I could feel the warmth of her skin, see the pulse of light beneath it. Marcus, yes, I don't want to pretend anymore. Not with you. She kissed me. It was gentle, tentative, a question more than a statement. Her lips were warm, slightly luminescent, tasting of the evening's sweet wine and something uniquely her. When we parted, she was watching me with an expression I'd never seen, open, unguarded, terrified. Was that acceptable? The formal phrasing made me smile. I don't know how humans. I answered by kissing her back. Properly this time. The way I'd wanted to for weeks, but hadn't dared. When we finally separated, both breathing hard, she laughed, a sound I'd never heard from her before. Light, free, almost girlish. I thought I'd forgotten how to do that, she admitted. You're a quick learner. I have an excellent teacher. We stayed in that tower until dawn, talking and kissing and simply existing together. No politics. No protocol. Just 2 people who had found each other in the wreckage of their separate griefs and decided to build something new. When the first light of sunrise touched the crystal spires, Solara leaned her head against my shoulder with a contented sigh. What happens now? I asked. Now? She smiled, her hand finding mine. Now we make the council miserable for the next several decades by being disgustingly happy together. I can live with that. Good. She turned to kiss my cheek. Because you made a promise, Marcus Chen. Until the stars grow cold, remember? I remember. From somewhere in the palace below, I heard Kira's voice calling for us, excited, demanding breakfast, fully alive in a way she hadn't been 6 months ago. Our daughter awaits, Solara said. Our daughter. Our family. Our future. I stood and offered my hand to the Empress of the Valorian Dominion. She took it, rising with the grace of her station, but the smile of a woman who had finally allowed herself to hope. Until the stars grow cold, I promised. Until the stars grow cold, she echoed. And together, we went to greet the morning.